Well, switching gears again over to the studio here in London in Shoreditch on the live stream of Tech Refugees Live. We have a new contributor from a new organisation, actually. So come on in, sir. Come on into the studio, as it were. How are you? Good to see you.
Good
Have
to
a
see you
seat.
Thank you.
So, Mostafa Amin, you are from Refugee's Voice.
Refugee Streets, yeah.
Exactly. I think a lot of people, I know a little bit about what you're doing, but a lot of people on the live stream won't know anything at all. So if you just want to tell us what you're working on, we'll get right into it.
Great. So originally we built Egyptian Streets, which is the biggest English news website in Egypt. And we are duplicating the same model of Egyptian Streets across the region, across the whole Middle East. And
this was a publication. What was it?
Yeah, it's an English news website that we cover like all verticals or like sections or topics like culture, travel, art, politics, everything coming from the streets and what's really happening in the streets. So it's something for the community and by the community. So as a step coming from the Middle East, which we have, you know, the region where there is a very limited coverage on the refugees topic, we felt that there is a responsibility as long as we have the resources and we can engage people, you know, with content. So we decided to go with Refugee Streets in order to build a media channel to provide refugees a voice, you know, in order to share their joys, like their sadness, their struggles, and what's really happening in the refugee streets.
So you created EgyptianStreets.com as a publication about Egypt, about Cairo, about culture, news, business, technology, etc.
Exactly.
And kind of like a HuffPo for Egypt in a way.
The HuffPost.
And then you had this idea to create RefugeeStreets.com.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Which is about the refugee experience. Are you covering only Egyptians, or are you covering any kind of refugee coming into Egypt? Or any kind of refugee anywhere?
Any kind of refugees anywhere. So like Syrians, Colombians, Sudanese, this is the plan.
Yeah.
We softly launched Refugee Streets 3 weeks ago with the beginning of 2016.
Yeah.
And the aim is to cover everything that is related to refugees and to get content from refugees themselves and anyone who's interested in the topic. So
it's very much digital publishing about the refugee experience, that news, breaking news.
Yeah, dedicated and focused platform for refugees.
What sort of reaction have you had since you launched RefugeeStreets.com?
It has been a good experience so far, good feedback. We still have, you know, a bit of content. We are scaling the content the coming few months in order to get like more like focused news and focused informational coverage on what's happening regarding the refugees topic in general. The feedback was good so far from people who are into the topic, and yeah.
What I'd like to know is one of the things that has come out of the Tech Refugees project is that we realised that storytelling was an incredibly important part of this, because without storytelling, you can't get across the refugee experience. You can't also work on decent products to address some of the issues. I mean, what sort of avenues could you take this into? I mean, for instance, how are you going to get refugee voices onto the platform? Are you accepting video? Is there a way of? Is an app? This is real sort of almost like digital journalism, isn't it?
Sure. So
it's crowdsourced journalism. So what sort of the ways are you going to get refugees to interact with you as a media platform?
Exactly. So right now we are reaching out to like all refugees camps in Germany. As a first phase, in order to have refugees from like that, we want to tell you that there is an independent, focused, dedicated platform for you in order to share, you know, what you have for the rest of the world, or like to share what you have with the rest of the world. So the website right now is a mobile responsive. We are going to work on a mobile app in order to adopt, you know, like the smartphone penetration within the refugees is very high, and it's very, very important to be adopted technologically, you know, like with their needs. So
and what sort of stories have you seen come in so far?
It's you know, like cultural ones. Some of them like, you know, political, you know, like analysis, discussions, what's happening, why this happened like in Greece and why this is happening in Germany, how people right now is interacting with refugees for example, like a very, very simple example, with the Syrian focus, when Ramadan is coming, like, in few months, so there is misunderstanding, on the cultural topics. Yeah. So how Germans are going to deal with refugees who are fasting during Ramadan. So we need to discuss all these topics in order to reach a very successful integration between the West and refugees. That was like, the motivation. Right now we are streaming Tech Refugees on Egyptian streets, and in general, really, there is a very limited coverage on the refugees topic in the Middle East. Yeah. So we feel this responsibility that it's not only a Western responsibility, to discuss what's happening and what's going on the refugee topic, but we need also, to get the Middle Eastern help in order to help and to help integrate, the whole process in an easy way.
I think that's fascinating that you should say that, and we're, delighted to have RefugeeStreets.com here on Tech Refugees Live. It's brilliant that you're doing this project. You're absolutely right that the whole issue should be blasted out to the world. And that's an incredibly important point you said earlier, that Ramadan is coming, that refugees that are currently in Europe, for instance, are going to be going, they want to observe their, if they are Muslim, they'll want to be observing their faith.
Exactly.
And that's something that, everyone should be prepared for.
Yeah.
Where do you want to take RefugeeStreets.com from here on? How can people help that might want to get involved?
Yeah, so we are reaching out to contributors. If anyone who has stories and he want to really tell a story of a refugee-related topic, just to send us to write@refugeestreets.com. So write@refugeestreets.com, and then we'll take this from there, and we'll be in contact in order to scale the content. We are going to translate as well to Arabic, and in the future will be Spanish and some African language in order to cover the whole refugee area on the global scale. So if there is any translators as well, they would love to contribute to the platform, that would be great to send to info@refugeestreets.com.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for coming. Where have you come from today?
Right now, came from Berlin.
Yeah, you're in Berlin at the moment. Yeah,
I'm in Berlin at the moment, but we'll come back to Cairo next week.
Back in Cairo next week. Yeah. Well, I was in Cairo only a few weeks ago, and an amazing city it is.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Hassan, for coming on Tech Refugees Live.
Thank you so much,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I'll send you back on your way back to Berlin and Cairo.